Get way better weather updates anytime with the WWAY Storm Track 3 mobile app. Now, here's Chief Meteorologist Jerry Jackson with your Storm Track 3 forecast. First,
It was rather stormy late last night. A lot of thunder and lightning pushing through with some strong thunderstorm activity. We've cleared all of that out of the picture. Our temperatures have been fairly nice outside today, but don't get too used to that. So much colder air is getting set to filter back into the region tonight, and we will descend back into a true wintertime pattern over the next couple of days. 70 right now, Wilmington 69 at the Holly Shelter reporting site in Pender County. Even colder out west though, Asheville at 59. You can see Roanoke checking in at 59 degrees, so temperatures in the 50s there. Will we see any additional rain later this week? We'll talk about that and some up and down temperatures. WWAY News Channel 3 at 5 starts right now.
live, local, interactive, and in high definition. This is WWAY News Channel 3 at 5.
Now on WWAY at 5, first on 3, a Pender County deputy's crash in Onslow County leads to charges and a job loss. Good evening and thank you for joining us for your news at 5. I'm Khaki Catlett.
I'm Chris Phillips. A Pender County Sheriff's deputy is out of a job after being charged with DWI after a car crash in Onslow County this morning.
The sheriff's office says dispatch began receiving calls that a Pender County patrol car was driving unsafely on Highway 17. WWAY's Janie Dees has more in the lead at 5. Janie.
Khaki, William Pollock was in uniform when his patrol car rear-ended another car. This is a story you saw first on 3 online this morning. Onslow County Dispatch said the fender bender happened at 7:48 this morning at the intersection of Old Maplehurst Road and Highway 17. The Pender County Sheriff's Office said before the crash, Pollock had stopped by his duty station at Topsail Middle School, where he was the school resource officer. A worker at a gas station near the crash scene says the deputy was swerving all over the road. Captain J.T. Hark with the Pender County Sheriff's Office says Pollock was notified that he no longer has a job as a result of what happened. Chris.
All right, Janie, thanks for that report. Only on 3, a South Carolina man takes to social media to vent his frustration with an Onslow County Sheriff's deputy. The driver, Chad Walton, began rolling video last night right before he says the deputy cut him off, causing a crash. He later posted the video to YouTube. WWAY's Sarah Murphy has more on the incident that was caught on camera. Sarah.
Chris, Walton came up on the Onslow County deputy going eastbound on Interstate 526 in North Charleston, South Carolina. Walton says the deputy was holding up traffic going 50 miles per hour in the fast lane when the speed limit was 60. To get around the deputy, Walton says he moved into the right lane before pulling back into the fast lane. Still recording video, Walton caught the deputy passing on his right and then cut back in front. That's when the video shows the deputy slamming on his brakes, which caused Walton to rear-end the cruiser.
The video doesn't lie. You can see how it happened. You can see the speedometer in the video in my vehicle where it says I was doing 60 miles an hour and not speeding.
After the crash, Walton says the deputy did not pull over, so Walton called 911. Walton says North Charleston police responded and cited the deputy for being at fault. The officer, however, was not ticketed. So far, the Onslow County Sheriff's Office has not returned our calls for comment. North Charleston police have also not responded to our request for more information. Khaki.
Thank you, Sarah. In Brunswick County, former County Commissioner Charles Warren has filed a federal lawsuit against the county and several of its leaders. Warren says he was humiliated and discriminated against. Now he wants the U.S. Marshal Service to investigate. Coming up at 6, we go to Warren's home for comment and have reaction from the county.
In Bladen County, an Elizabethtown man was already in jail when police arrested him for attempted murder yesterday. Jeffrey Lewis III was in the Bladen County Jail on multiple unrelated charges when deputies charged him for a shooting at Bo's Food Store February 9th. He has $1.2 million bond for the charge. That's on top of the bond he already had.
In a developing story, 7 Camp Lejeune-based Marines are dead and 8 were taken to a hospital after a training accident in rural Nevada. Marine Corps officials say the accident happened about 10 p.m. last night when a mortar exploded at Hawthorne Army Depot. The Marines were from the 2nd Marine Expeditionary Force. We'll have much more in your news at 5:30.
New at 5, Wilmington firefighters tested their agility and dexterity today. The test included performing tasks similar to those they would encounter in an actual fire. The obstacle course started with dragging a dummy that weighed about 175 pounds, setting up and taking down a ladder, carrying heavy hoses up several flights of stairs, pulling a water-filled hose, and toting 2 large saws.
Absolutely. It's definitely a good gauge for you to come out here and see where you're at health-wise. If there's anything that you need to improve on. It's also a really great training opportunity for us to come out here and get some hands-on experience.
The annual test also raises any red flags in the firefighters' health. Some try to improve their previous year's time, but the ultimate goal is to complete the exercise without stopping.
Also in New Hanover County, just in time for spring, Cape Fear Community College is expanding its educational garden at the North Campus in Castle Hayne. A $3,000 donation from the Cape Fear Garden Club will help develop the existing facility. The money will also fund the creation of another educational garden at the school's downtown Wilmington campus.
In this week's Marking History, it's not often that one man fights for the armies of multiple countries, but that's just what one Cape Fear local grew up to do. William Loring's name can be found in military records from the U.S. to Mexico and even Egypt. Coming up on WWAY News Channel 3 at 6, we explore Loring's interesting story.
Happening today, Topsail Beach is celebrating 50 years as an incorporated town. The town is currently the home of the Karen Beasley Sea Turtle Hospital, the Missile and More Museum, Ecological Marine Adventures, Jolly Roger Fishing Pier, and Miss Joe and Queen Jean charter boats. They will be having a party from 6 to 8 tonight at the Assembly Building. There will be dinner and, of course, birthday cake.
Happening tonight, let the madness begin. The opening round of the NCAA tournament gets underway. If you haven't filled out a bracket yet, we've got an expert to help us sort out all the bracketology. Good morning, Carolina anchor Tim Buckley interviewed ESPN's Jay Billis about how he thinks the bracket shakes out this year.
Well, Jay, you know as a Duke alum that basketball is huge right here in North Carolina. All the big three, Duke, NC State, and Carolina, all in the tournament right now. We're looking at the different draws this morning. Both Carolina and State get an 8 seed. Who do you think has a better chance to maybe upset the 1 and make a little bit of a run?
That's a tough call because I think as an 8 seed, you're in a really bad spot. You'd rather be obviously a 7 or even a 10 rather than an 8 or a 9 because you're playing the 1 in the second game of the tournament if you're fortunate enough to win the first game. So you have a tough matchup to start. North Carolina's playing Villanova. And that's going to be really difficult.
But did the teams fall on the right lines of the bracket? Phyllis says no.
I think North Carolina should have been a 6 seed. So I didn't think the committee did North Carolina any favors. I didn't think the committee did a particularly good job of seeding overall. I think Duke has a legitimate beef, as does Miami, as far as being a 1 seed. Because, Gonzaga had a terrific season. They're a very good team. These are arguable points. But both Duke and Miami won more games against quality competition.
Do you think when weighed against each other, the big schools and the little schools, that the little schools get a little bit more of a boost than they really should?
Not traditionally. That's not always been the case, but this year it was. I'm actually okay with that. If we want a balanced national tournament and you want to say, hey, listen, tie goes to the runner or tie goes to the mid-major, that's fine. We just need to say that. We don't say it now. What we're saying is, who did you play, who did you beat? Well, if who did you play, who did you beat is the issue, then Virginia should have gotten in ahead of teams like St. Mary's or Middle Tennessee or LaSalle.
But with the bracket we've got, who can cut down the nets in Atlanta?
I think Louisville's the best team, but I could also see Indiana winning this thing. But if I have to pick one, I'm picking Louisville.
Jay had plenty to say about the NCAA as an organization. He's been critical about its role in college athletics. Coming up tomorrow, hear from Jay about why he takes issue with some of their decisions. So
for tonight's online poll question, we want to know from you, which North Carolina school do you think will go the farthest in the NCAA tournament? Log on to WWAYTV3.com, find your choices there, and you can cast a vote. We'll have those results tonight at 11. The madness has begun.
Going to campaign for Hoosiers here?
You know it. We may be facing NC State. Good. Could happen.
Could happen. Best team was left out, but we won't go into that. It would take all the rest of our time, wouldn't it?
Have fun in the NIT, man.
It's all we can have. Well, in other news, another Marine is facing charges after a videoed event. A video showing platoon members urinating on corpses of Taliban fighters in Afghanistan brings a hearing. And South Carolina is holding a special election. The real story is the cast of candidates.
Good news for snackers. A bankruptcy judge has approved the sale of Twinkies. And Pope Francis is now officially the 266th Roman Catholic Pope.
You're watching WWAY News Channel 3 at 5. With Chris, Kathy, John with sports, and Jerry with your Storm Track 3 forecast.
Beautiful afternoon out at Wrightsville Beach today, and I hope you had a chance to get outside and enjoy one last comfortably warm or comfortably cool day of weather, depending on what you define warm as cool as being. But outside today, we did manage to top out in the 60s and 70s, just inland away from the coast. It was a little bit cooler in a few spots along the immediate coastal areas. So here in Wilmington, we topped out at 68 degrees, but that is going to be it as far as temperature readings near 70. We have a big cool down getting set to move in, and once it arrives, it's not going anywhere. We did have some rainfall to add to the bucket with some fairly decent thunderstorm activity. It rolled through in the wee hours of the morning. A lot of that is now cleared offshore. Currently, we're very nice at 70, dew point at 42, relative humidity 36%. Sunshine has returned, and we do have a little bit of a breeze out of the west-northwest at 13 miles an hour. And you're not really going to find any frigid air, at least not around here at the moment, but that will change later tonight. If you look out west, Roanoke has dropped back to 59, Asheville checking in at 57 degrees, and colder air will continue to spill into the south and east here over the next few hours, courtesy of a cold front that helped in part to produce those big thunderstorms last night. Many areas saw under a half-inch of precipitation, but there were a few isolated pockets that saw much more than that, especially across northern portions of Columbus County, where in excess of an inch of precipitation fell in one or two spots. But again, once you hop outside of those isolated areas, those totals drop off quite a bit, but a pretty good lightning display for a brief amount of time anyway. All that activity is wrapping up to the north and to the east. Colder, drier air is starting to spill in from the northwest, and Pinpoint Futurecast is showing about the only weather features that we're going to be watching in the short term will be twofold here. Number one, we've got a low pressure trough that will help to usher in a reinforcing shot of cold air, and also a developing low pressure wave down toward the Gulf of Mexico. This will really flare up and generate a lot of rain, but we're going to be just on the outer edge of that system as it begins to move offshore as we head into Wednesday and Wednesday night. So we'll hang on to just a slim chance of a pop-up shower or two on Wednesday, 20% chance at best. And as this reinforcing shot of cold air drops in out of the northwest, that may help to bring in a brief window of opportunity for a rain shower late Wednesday night. But it's not going to be a big rainmaker for us. It looks like a better chance of that precipitation going offshore as that area of low pressure continues to wrap up. As we take a look at our forecast for tonight, mostly clear and cold too eventually. We'll fall into the upper 30s. Northwest wind at 5 to 15 miles an hour. Coming up for Wednesday, the midweek forecast, variably cloudy, just a slim chance of a pop-up shower, but it will be much colder. Mid-50s, and that north breeze will make it feel even colder than that. Upper 50s for the area beaches. Sea is average 2 to 4 feet. Small craft urged to exercise caution. And your Storm Track 3 7-day extended forecast showing mostly sunny conditions as we head into Thursday, but partly cloudy on Friday, and then our chance of rain ramps back up again for the upcoming weekend. But you notice what you don't see in that forecast, no daytime highs in the 70s. We are going to be stuck in the 50s. That is a late January to early February forecast, so it's not going to feel good.
What's up with that?
Not even one day in the 60s. I mean, come on.
No, that's what I say. You had to get it in today. That we enjoyed it today. That was it.
Okay. Good weekend to watch basketball, I guess.
Great weekend to watch basketball.
Yes,
Wish my
indeed.
team was still in. That's another story.
Khaki and I may have words if everything pans out just right
Watch it,
later.
she's a mean
From
one.
friends to foe, Jerry.
That's right.
Moving along quickly, and to religion. Pope Francis was officially installed as the 266th Roman Catholic Pope this morning. Hundreds of thousands were in Rome to attend the special Mass and ceremonies. Lama Hassan has a look at the big day for tonight's World Watch.
Marking the official beginning of Pope Francis's papacy, an estimated 200,000 people packed St. Peter's Square to catch a glimpse of the man who will now lead the world's 1.2 billion Catholics. Greeting the faithful as he rode around in his open-air Pope-mobile, even climbing out of his Jeep to bless a disabled man. The pontiff also greeted hundreds of world leaders and delegates, including Vice President Joe Biden, delivering his homily in Italian that called on all people from around the globe to protect the weak and the poor.
Embrace with tender affection the whole of humanity, especially the poorest, the weakest, the least important.
The Pope also delivered a message to the people of his native Argentina, which was greeted with jubilation. One of Francis's first duties is to pray at the tomb of St. Peter to venerate it. After doing that, he was given a simple woolen pallium, a symbol of his role as shepherd of the flock, and the fisherman's ring, silver-plated gold with the image of St. Peter holding 2 keys. The first pope elected from Latin America now becomes the 266th pope. His predecessor, Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI, watched the ceremonies on television. Lama Hassan, ABC News, London.
Well, Samsung has the hot new smartphone for now, but there are so many selections. How do you find the right one for you?
Plus, the latest on the airline merger between American Airlines and U.S. Airways. Yesterday, we told you how Samsung shook up the smartphone market with the debut of its Galaxy S4 last week.
So if you're shopping for a new gadget right now, sorting through the crowded field can be daunting. Karen Kaifa has some tips for smartphone shopping in tonight's Consumer Watch.
It's crowded out there for smartphone shoppers, and more choices can make it harder to find the best fit.
By the end of the spring, or even by the end of March or so, we're really going to have a very competitive, maybe more competitive than ever market in smartphones.
Apple's easy interface makes it popular, especially among novice smartphone users. Android phones boast a greater diversity in hardware and more variety in screen size, like the Galaxy S4, for example, which increased its size. BlackBerry remains popular for business and also those who prefer a physical keyboard over touchscreen. And the live tile interface of a Windows phone makes it user-friendly and helps users find what they need with fewer steps. And with smartphones fast becoming the go-to device for photos and videos, consider what you'll need if you aim to ditch your traditional camera and consolidate devices.
Really what people should be looking to is to look for a camera that has now at least 5, if not 8 megapixels of resolution and has a lot of the enhancements for sharing.
A new phone with more bells and whistles also needs a data plan that can handle it. So make sure to review yours to avoid overage fees. For Consumer Watch, I'm Karen Kaifa.
The CEOs of American Airlines and U.S. Airways are reassuring a Senate panel that their merger would not lead to fewer flights or lost jobs. The merger would create the world's biggest airline and provide more competition for United and Delta, the CEOs say. But consumer advocates told the Senate Antitrust Subcommittee today the merger could lead to higher fares and less service to mid-sized cities.
If there was any doubt, it finally appears Twinkies will live on. A bankruptcy judge has approved Hostess brand's sale of the spongy yellow cakes, along with other snacks including Ding Dongs and Ho-Hos, to a pair of investment firms for $410 million. One of those firms says it hopes to have the cakes back on the shelves by this summer. The judge also approved the sale of Wonder Bread to Flowers Foods, the maker of Tasty Cakes. I want one right now.
Some happy snackers out there.
Yeah. People love their Twinkies, and they have missed them.
Think they have enough in the closet just to make it through summer, and then they'll pick up the new batch?
They're going to have to ration them, 1 bite a day or something.
Well, speaking of food, but probably not Twinkies, growing babies are all about change, and in Health Watch, we look at introducing solid foods.
And ahead at 5:30, the governor creates a new center for safer schools. Many parents can attest to it. Introducing your baby to solid foods is an exciting time.
There are experts out there who will fill parents in on what to do and what to expect. Holly Furford talks to one in tonight's Health Watch.
First-time mom Becky Pittman is introducing her 4-month-old twins to solid food. Solids are usually introduced when babies are between 4 to 6 months old.
They'll eat a little bit, they'll spit a little bit out, it'll kind of just sit there.
Solids are usually introduced when babies are between 4 to 6 months old.
Before 4 months, you run the risk of getting allergies, and foods can be a choking hazard. If you wait much longer than 7 or 8 months, then babies get really used to a full liquid diet and may have a harder time adjusting to thicker textures.
Doctors used to recommend a very rigid order for the introduction of foods, but that's no longer the case. Now they usually suggest that parents offer their babies cereal, fruits, vegetables, or meats in whichever order they choose. Sometimes children have a bad reaction to what they eat, so wait a few days between the introduction of each new food.
Start the new food in the morning. That way a parent can watch a child for reactions during the day while the parent's still awake. You might expect reactions such as a skin rash or hives, vomiting, or diarrhea if the child has a food that doesn't agree with him.
Pittman says so far the twins are doing fine. Next up,
we have green beans or peas, something green.
For today's Health Minute, I'm Holly Furfer.
Well, they are calling it an accident after a mortar shell explosion killing several Marines. 7 from Camp Lejeune were killed and more injured in a training exercise gone wrong.
And South Carolina holds a special election. It's attracted quite a field of candidates.